We're following the breaking news as music mogul and convicted felon Sean Diddy Combs is back in court right now for sentencing. We're expecting to hear from witnesses from the trial, some of Diddy's children, and even Diddy himself. He's asking the judge for mercy, and his lawyers claim he's a new man. The prosecutors are pointing to decades of abuse as cause for him to stay behind bars for a long time. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kayleigh McEnany here with my co-host, Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Fox News senior correspondent Alicia Acuna. For the first time on the couch, we're excited to have her. And what a day, criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor Donna Rotuno, and co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Griff Jenkins. Now, Diddy's legal team is asking for the judge to sentence him to time served, arguing he's learned his lesson. They've submitted dozens of letters of support from friends and family and released this 11-minute video that they plan to show in court today.
My nose fell off. Ah! No, my lip fell off. Thank you. You wear it?
You inspire, you energize, and you've left that for the rest of the existence of this planet, man.
Diddy also wrote an emotional letter to the judge yesterday, claiming he's been humbled, adding, quote, "I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for all of the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, and I have no one to blame for my current reality and situation but myself." Donna, this is very interesting to me. Remorse is a key part of this. And I want to read to you, we have all this incoming from the courtroom minute by minute from our producers. And one of the things the prosecutor said is they said this: look, he could get a maximum sentence of 20 years. Probation recommends 60 months. The government's asking for 11. So they're asking, somewhere middle of the road. But they say, meanwhile, Diddy has booked speaking engagements in Miami for next week showing disrespect. Defendant did not have a lapse in judgment. He engaged in this conduct for 15 years. Kind of undercuts the remorse letter.
No question. It undercuts the remorse letter. It undercuts what we all saw as the trial progressed in terms of his behavior and what he has done for years and years and a decade and a half. I mean, you look at what Diddy has been accused of, and although the judge cannot sentence him on accusations, he has to sentence him under the law based on what he was actually convicted of. But at the end of the day, the judge has a right to look at every single piece of evidence that came in during that case to determine not only has he learned a lesson, but will he re-offend? And I think that's a really interesting question here. I'm not so sure anything that we've learned from what he wrote tells us that he has learned from his behavior. He says that he does, but he's booking trips to go to Miami when he's not sure he's going to be out of custody, number one. And number two, which I think is more frightening, is the fact that he never one time in that letter said that he needed help, that he had a problem, and that he was going to address it. So to me, that's really a bigger issue. There's been no understanding that maybe you need to look at yourself and there may be a real problem.
Donna, I want to pull this up. These are possible sentencings that he could get. Convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. That's settled. But the maximum sentence is 20 years in prison. And of course, as I mentioned, the government asking for 11 years. Diddy's team, 14 months, saying he's already served 13 months. Now, I put this before you because I'm wondering if you could predict, like Paul Morrow did. Paul Morrow said, I think he'll get 4 years. It's notable that the judge did not let him out on bail. He didn't let him go once. I don't think he's going to let him go this time. And he pointed to that previous indicator. What do you think?
Well, I agree with Paul that 4 is probably the bottom number that the judge will give him. My assessment of this, after looking at it for the last several months, is 48 to 72 months. So that would be 4 to 6 years. That's my guess. There's no way that the judge is going to let him walk out of there with time served. I also don't think he's going to get the 27 months that the defense team is asking for. 11 years may be a little heavy-handed, but, looking at the history of the behavior, and frankly, I do think the judge is going to take into consideration the way Cassie feels, the way the other victims feel. I mean, how do you not? I mean, you have a woman who's saying, I'm afraid of him, and how do you discount that after we all saw that video?
Harrison, on your show, I was hearing one of the guests mention something right as the judge was talking about this issue, and it was whether Cassie's a victim or not. And Combs saying, no, she's not a victim. She was a participant. The judge said she is both a participant and a victim.
Yeah, look, all of this is important because we know all along what was said about Diddy's world and that it was complicit and it helped foster an environment where victims probably couldn't speak out or felt like they couldn't speak out. Does that go away because he goes free? Does he go and tell all of his people, you know, you better treat these people right? Now, look, we don't have receipts on everything that was done to these women, but we have a lot. So I think we can imagine what could be done. So it's been reported today, and I know his family members have said that they will be in court to speak up. It's been reported that Cassie and Mia would not be there today. And you could further that by reports that say, well, it didn't come from him. Could it be, or them, I should say, could it be out of fear of reprisals from Diddy world? I could see that, even just the thought of it, because it's been part of this case. I want to get your thought on that, too.
No question about it. The thought in their minds that he could be released 5 days, 5 months, 5 years from now. I mean, I think when they came into this trial, especially Cassie's feeling was he was never going to come home. And so I think now the reality, she said she's moved. She's had to move her family, her children. She has small children. We know she was 8 months pregnant at the time she gave that testimony. That's real fear. And again, we saw the video, so you can understand where that fear comes from. I always go back to that video, and people say to me, well, but he wasn't charged with what happened in the video. But that doesn't matter. The judge has to look at the capability of him and what he can possibly do. And now we've all seen it. I mean, that was like the devil in the way that he went after her. And she's, you know, shuddering herself and covering. And I'm a defense attorney, so I'm the one that's always looking at what can we do to mitigate these problems. And that video was problem number one from the very beginning, because everything, even though it wasn't a charge, the behavior wove into what we saw on that screen.
Yeah, Griffin, we were just looking at that video, and we know in that letter from Diddy, likely his attorneys who vetted the letter too, he apologized for that behavior, for what it's worth. Also, you know, you're looking outside the courtroom, Griff, because any moment we could get a sentencing. And just some color of what's happening out there. There's someone apparently in an Epstein mask, a person dressed as a dog, and they're asking why it's taking so long at the courtroom. And all these streamers have shown up. There's immense interest in pop culture and elsewhere, as you can see.
It's New York City. It brings out all sorts of people. So that's going to be interesting to see who's outside that courthouse. But Donna raises a great point that I think is so essential to this. And that is, what do we see in those videos? Beatings. So it was a culture of beatings, of blackmail, we heard through testimony, drugs, these freak-offs. And to your point, Donna, what's to say that the culture that he created that led to the abuse of these alleged victims, like Cassie and others, what's to say that that won't be the culture again once he's out?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's no doubt that that has to be a main concern. And again, without any acknowledgement of, I was a sick person, this is not normal behavior, I need some type of counseling. Correct.
Right.
Yeah, you know, I do want to, Alicia, I'm going to get to you in just one moment. But Donna, I just want to bring some live updates as they're pouring out of the courtroom. Both sides have referenced the Jordan case. And we heard the prosecution bring this up, but now we're hearing the defense bring it up. They're bringing up this Jordan case where the defendant received a 60-month sentence after he had already served time in Cuba. What do you make of that case as precedent?
You know, the judge will take those things into consideration. They usually do. Sentencing has to not only be punitive in the right circumstances, it also has to be a deterrent for people moving forward. Other people should watch these things and see. Courts look at what happened in the past. I know when I was here trying Weinstein, we looked at all of the different possibilities and the sentences that the judge had given before, sentences that have happened in New York State Court. So that has to happen here, too. The judge will look at what has happened in these types of cases in the past. Now, that being said, they'll look at the Jordan case, but there's not a ton on just this Mann Act, because the Mann Act really wasn't as common of a charge in a lot of these federal cases.
Yeah, and the Jordan Act was one of the few with the Mann Act to which they're referring. Alicia, I do want to pull up Cassie's letter to the judge, because Harris mentioned her feeling like, look, she could be threatened if he gets out too soon. You could see this. She wrote, I have in fact moved my family out of the New York area and keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can, because I am so scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial. I cannot imagine how she is feeling.
No, I mean, she's obviously terrified, and she's trying to get that across to the judge in as clear a way as possible. She moved her family from New York to avoid any kind of retribution, right? And she is the victim in that video that we saw. So you have to imagine, I'm assuming, that that will weigh heavily on the judge. Also, when we get back to this like campaign style video that we saw that was presented or is being presented at court, I couldn't help but think when I saw these videos of him with kids in the past, very sweet images, right? But at the exact same time, what's to say he wasn't also being that horrible monster who's been accused of, and it has the ability to be two different people at once. And so the judge will see both of those before him as he makes this decision.
Can I ask one really quick question? Why can't they, as part of their sentencing, put an order on him that he can't go near any of these people and he can't direct anybody to go near them? And if he knows of someone going near them, he has to report it.
Well, they can, depending on the sentence.
Order of protection.
Yeah, well, an order of protection doesn't come through normally the federal court system. Orders of protection are granted in state jurisdictions. So can she go and get one? She could. Wow. But I also think that as part of the conditions of his sentence and or his release, they can do a no contact order, which is splitting hairs legally, but there is a distinction in terms of what one means and how you obtain each order. So I think the judge will do that because, remember, no matter what prison sentence he gets, there will be a period of parole and there will be a period, they will not maintain jurisdiction over him forever, but they can put a period of time under which he can't have contact with her. And a lot of times they'll make that a third-party contact as well, so no third parties can operate on his behalf. But again, it might be too late by the time, look at the girl in New Jersey who had a restraining order and still ends up dead. So you have to take those threats seriously.
Thanks, Kaylee.
No doubt about it. Yeah, of course, no doubt about it. We'll keep you updated. We expect to get the sentencing at any moment. Donna Ortuno, 4 to 6 years is your prediction.
That's my prediction.
Paul Morrow, 4 years, both experts on the matter. So we will bring you that sentence once we get it.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.